gun. Ramos looking like he's got one more good run. Sips a little shaky, but his heart is still true. Oh, how that dog loves hunting with me and you. Sporting Dog Adventures, run, boy, run. Everything you need is here under the sun.
The Sporting Dog Adventures podcast is proudly brought to you by Soggy Acres Retrievers. Remember, everyone deserves a soggy dog. Welcome to Dog Talk Live, number 79. Dog Talk Lives are great. We do them on Facebook, as well as we put a lot of them up onto YouTube. So I hope you guys are able to give us a few minutes of your time today to talk dogs. We are here, probably I'd say we're doing about twice a week now. We do these for about 15 minutes, and it's more of a Q&A type thing where we are trying to answer questions and help people get involved in the sport that I love, which is working with dogs and hunting with dogs in the field, running competition, or just flat out chasing ducks and pheasants. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope the weekend is set up to be a great weekend for you. Today, what did I work with the dogs on today? Our training dogs today got to see decoys for the first time. Now, the way that I run that is I actually put the decoys on land, so the dogs are seeing the decoys where I can access them if they have a adverse reaction or they try to retrieve one or anything else like that. And I'll actually throw bumpers just past the decoys, so they have to run through them. The first time, the dogs run out and they usually sniff just about every decoy. And then from there, they will just turn around, grab the bumper and come back, and then the subsequent retrieves, they really don't even pay attention to it. So it is something that works out great. It is where you can work on multiple things at one time. So when you're looking at your training, always try to work on multiple things as you are getting involved. As you're getting involved, and those multiple things are today we're working on completing a retrieve. We're working on our control or leaving on our name. We are working on steadiness. We're working on decoy introduction, and then we're working on where we're shooting before the bird falls. So it's adding a lot of excitement in, so that it very much seems like a hunt. Putting you and the dog in a position where you can kind of see where they are at as far as their training. By the time the dogs go home, I actually even throw in calling ducks, running duck calls, so that the dogs kind of have that circus atmosphere where they're like, oh my gosh, so much stuff is going on. I put them in a dog blind, and that will be later. Right now we've got just over a month left in their training, and they are right where they need to be, and they are just doing fantastic. So today we are here. We'd like to listen to some questions and answer some questions for you. We got John checking in. Hello, John. We've got Mark Elin checking in from Oregon. When you're popping into our Dog Talk Lives, please let us know where you're from. Let us know what your questions are today. We normally get people from all over the world. And kind of neat, our podcast is replicating that. We've got, I think, 8 countries right now that we've got people checking in from for our podcast that are listening. That doesn't work. I'm trying to pull up. Hold on a second. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be here, but you're not going to see me. Trying to see here. Pull up something so that I can see. You know, I got to figure out how to put up links for specific episodes on our podcast. This is a link directly to the podcast. So, I'm not having a great day today. This is a link to the podcast. The link is going to take you so you can see all the episodes. The one that we did this week that was really cool, we put up yesterday, Brad Heidel from Delta Waterfowl joined us. Very good friend of mine. Actually one of my hunting buddies, and he's hosted the show before. When I was hurt, when I did TV, back when I had a brain aneurysm and just about kicked the bucket, Bradley stepped in and took a couple of trips for me and hosted the show. Brad is works for the National for Delta Waterfowl. He runs their marketing, and it was a cool opportunity to talk to him about what the upcoming season looks like through the eyes of their organization. Gave us some great information, and it would be a wonderful thing if you're looking for something to listen to on the drive home. I think the whole podcast ended up being about 25 minutes. Listen to it. Let me know what you think. Brad's a great guy, and he's a great guy to have on a podcast because he's very well spoken and very knowledgeable. So that is what we had going on the podcast this week. So please check that out and let us know what you think about it. Jesse Lester, we should have a training day. Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Hit me up outside of Dog Talk Live, and maybe we can get together. Let's see, Camden from New York. You know, Rich, Camden from New York. So I'm not understanding that. Are you from Camden to New York, or are you from New York but in Camden? Let me know what you're meaning on that, and go from there. John, do you see any difference in training female versus male dogs? John, I do not. You will often hear that there's a difference from people that are selling puppies, and the reason you'll hear there's a difference is because they have a certain sex that they need to sell. I see no difference in personality. I see no difference in their ability to run. The only real difference I see is in size, and if you do not get a male fixed, which I suggest everybody does because quite honestly I would with my own, but they're stud dogs. Males will get preoccupied when you're doing your stuff, and they will want to pee on everything, and at times if there's a female in season you can have some issues. But I do not see a difference in training. Again, 10 to 15 pounds. So if you're running out of a boat and you're having to pull dogs back into the boat, that could be something you want to look at and go from there. So we got Patrick checking in from Manitoba. Good to see you, Mr. Patrick. We've got, have you ever had a dog that had limp tail syndrome? Seems to have on your dog. Jackie, I have not. I've seen it. The way to avoid limp tail, generally speaking, they get it from colder water. And it would be to do less retrieves in cold water and to make sure the dogs are on a dry surface and that you can, if you can't, towel them off. I've only seen it in training dogs. I haven't seen it in hunting, which doesn't really make sense. You should see it more in hunting because the water is colder. But I very much worry about that with the dogs early till we get to about May into June in Wisconsin, so that the water temperature is warmer. This year we had a weird spring. Ice came out early. It looked like it was going to warm up, and then it stayed about 40 to 45 degrees until almost June. Once we hit June, we hit 90 degrees. So it kept us very bipolar, I guess, in how we trained the dogs this year because of the water temp. Your grandson is Camden. How are you doing today, Camden? Good to have you watching. Sorry about that. That is great to get the explanation. We got Michelle's watching from North Carolina. She's enjoying the podcast. That's great, Michelle. It's fun to put together. I honestly, with our podcast, much like Dog Talk Live, we're not overly monetizing this where we're worried about making money with it. Dog Talk Lives, we have our platform. It's already built, so it doesn't cost us anything. The podcast, we are using an app that makes that completely free. I don't know where it's going to go. We're hitting probably between anywhere from 60 to about 130 views or listens so far. And if it grows, it grows. If it's not, it's still a nice way to stay in contact with people. And I really enjoy creating content to talk about what I love, which is dogs. So it gives me a way to create content that is not a TV show where I have to fork out a ton of money and have a ton of stress. But if you guys do like podcasts, I love them. That's why we made one. It is called the Sporting Dog Adventures Podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor app, Google Podcast, and about 6 more other platforms that are out there. So please give it a listen and let me know what you think. John's checking in from Juneau, Alaska. Nice. What is the weather up like in Juneau? When does it cool off? When do you hit like the really cold weather? I'm assuming, John, that your weather there is much different than ours. Or is that Arkansas? What is AK? I think it's Alaska. I'm sorry, it's been too long to be out of school, and quite honestly, I'm a little short on sleep. So, running your first finish test is Sunday, calling for 95 degrees. Would it hurt to cool the dog off in the truck after the run? Jesse, no, it would not. The one thing I would do is, if you can, have a crate in your truck so that the dog is still not able to bounce around the car. I have seen dogs that just go berserk in the vehicle after they run because they're so excited, and it just keeps them wound up. So you're going to want to cool the dog down. You're going to want to give the dog lots of water, lots of hydration. A good trick to hydrating your dog on hot days is when you feed them to put water in with their food, because then they have to drink all of the water while they eat the food. All right, John, thanks. I'm tired, but I was right. When's your hunting season up in Alaska? I'm curious on that. Like, when does your duck season run? And how cold is it by the end of the year? Never got to go up there for the TV show to film. I always thought of it. Always thought that it would be kind of a fun thing to film up in Alaska. I wanted to film in South Africa too, but just never got around to those. Went to some wonderful places. I got to meet so many great people. I got to travel all around North America. But that was one that I will admit I wanted to do. The other was my hunt to Maine for eiders. Brad Heidel, that I talked about before, that's on our podcast this week, he actually went on that hunt for me. That was a hunt that I was very much looking forward to. Had a brain aneurysm like 8 days before we were supposed to leave, so I could not go because I was busy trying not to die. And it really sucked because that was one you hunt right on the ocean. And they were telling me you have to actually change where you're sitting because of the rise and fall of the ocean and the tide, where they were talking about a 10 to 20 foot difference in the water level. So kind of neat. It's been in the mid to upper 50s. That is, that's crazy. Wisconsin's always interesting. I used to have a place up in far northern Wisconsin, and just that difference was so much. You would have an extra month or so of winter from northern Wisconsin to southern Wisconsin. Southern Wisconsin down by Illinois is pretty chill. It's we don't have brutal winters. Hopefully we've had a few, but usually it warms up pretty good, and it's fairly temperate. I should film on the Bighorn in Montana. Best hunt I've ever had. Jesse, we're not filming anymore, so that's not something that I'm going to do anymore. But that would be a cool hunt. I went up and filmed a deer hunt in by the Milk River with Milk River Outfitters, and that was fun. I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Beautiful country, a lot of public land. I'm going to go back there at some point someday. But this year is all about my own property and still continuing to learn my own property and getting to hunt it, which is we have 190 acres of wetland that has great deer and waterfowl on it. Hopefully it will not be too wet so that we will have a good season. Michelle, can you talk about training new pups some? We are getting a 6-month-old German Shorthair in October, or 6-week-old German Shorthair in October. Lost your red bone in February. Not a person who can make it without a dog. She was trained when we got her, so we're specifically wondering about keeping them in a kennel during the day. Also wanting to leash our new pup. Michelle, what you're going to want to do is start working with the dog when they're puppies, obviously. I wouldn't take ownership of a puppy till they're 7 weeks. They really should be 7 weeks before you get them. Any states that have laws will have that set up if they have a breeding program where people are registered. I would start working with them on leash as soon as you can so that they're used to it. And then when you get to 6 months, you get a pinch collar. You work with them on the pinch collar where you are making sure they heel perfectly at your knee with their front shoulder. They're sitting when you tell them to sit. They don't lunge because they're going to have the pinch collar on, so it will correct them when they do that. And then you're going to transition to an e-collar or electric collar and do all the same corrections with the pinch collar on the dog, but also do an electric collar correction at the same time. First, though, before you use an electric collar to do corrections, you're going to go through something called collar conditioning. So these are all things that you can look up online. You're going to look up pinch collar training, collar conditioning, and then e-collar reinforcement. You should be able to find some good videos on it. That is something that we actually do more and more of. I've got 6 dogs in for obedience training right now. We do dogs throughout the year, except for hunting season, and we work with dogs of all breeds for that. So it's something that is for me is a growing platform, growing business model. Is the obedience training. It's just a lot easier on myself and on my body, and it just doesn't take quite the time that having to do setup and takedown and everything else for hunting dogs. Not that we're ever going to get out of hunting dogs. We're just going to cut back the amount that we take. This year we have 11 in right now. Next year we are going to take no more than 6. I can see at a point being at 4 or 5 and then capping it there and keeping that there. So it should be something you can do yourself. And if you need help, we also take dogs in here. Patrick, if you want to go on a sea duck hunt, you should look into Newfoundland. When you talk about hunts, you talk about hunt of a lifetime. I was trying to explain to someone the other day. I was very blessed to have the show. A lot of work, a lot of stress. It was fun. It's it's like high stakes poker. It's blood sport, dealing with other shows and trying to beat them. But I very much am really liking being home. I've got my property here, my hunting property that we had as Saki Acres Signature Lodge. It is a neat property, and I want to learn my own property. So it's kind of funny because where most people are looking to go on those hunts every year or every couple of years, I was going on like 8 to 10 a year. So I think in a couple of years I'll probably be to the point where I'm going to want to go on a sea duck hunt and go somewhere like Maine or Newfoundland. Next year I have my most fun hunt that I enjoy is an elk hunt. I'm going out to Wyoming. So that will be a very cool trip for me. I'm taking my son Clayton. He's never elk hunted before, so I'm taking him as his graduation gift. And that will be a cool hunt. I think I definitely will probably start going to Canada once or twice, or every couple of years, and just going to add stuff in as we go. But I'm going to go from where I was going on 10 hunts to maybe 1 every other year, and really enjoy hunting around here at our own property too. So, all right. So we are at 15 minutes. If we have any other questions, we're going to give a last call on questions. I hope everyone is really going to have a wonderful weekend. Get outside. Take your dogs for a walk. If you got to socially distance, do that. But you can get out, soak up some of that sunshine, and get the dogs. It's now time to start getting our dogs in shape for season. And that includes us. We need to get in shape too. So the more you get out and walk your dogs, the better shape you're going to be in, and the better shape the dogs are going to be in, so the better season you're going to have. So, but we're going to call it on that. We do want to thank everyone for stopping in to do our question and answer here on Dog Talk Live. I do appreciate you all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Have a great weekend. God bless. This part of the podcast is brought to you proudly by Mech Outdoors. This portion of the podcast is proudly brought to you by Boucher Automotive in Janesville, Wisconsin. Hey, welcome to the dog training tip for this episode of Sporting Dog Adventures Podcast. I had a quick question from someone that was emailed over to me, and if you want to send your question in to have it answered here on Sporting Dog Adventures Podcast, just email me at sportingdogtv@gmail.com. Tom C. asked, he said he's a new listener. He wanted to run something by me about his dog that's 4.5 months old. The dog listens to commands in the field. He's responsive to hand signals as well as whistle command. Loves retrieving in the water. He retrieves perfectly to platform in the house and loves to play fetch in the house. His only issue is that the dog shows little interest to retrieve on land, and he's tried many methods to keep it fun, as well as to pick it up, and he loves running around the bumper, but he pretty much refuses to pick it up and bring it back. I've got a dog all over me right now, sorry about this, and he usually drops it on the way back. Tom asks, am I expecting too much, or is there something else that he can do to connect with a retrieve in the yard? So this is something that is common. People get a puppy and they want to start training right away. Formal training does not start until dogs hit 6 months old. And training is not taking them out, working with them on retrieves and hand signals. Training is, the first 6 to 8 weeks is working on something called force fetch and working on your obedience to a field level, as well as then reinforcing that obedience ultimately with a collar after you've put the dog through e-collar conditioning. So by collar I meant electric collar. So Tom, it is wonderful that you're getting your dog out. It is great the dog's performing and having fun. You just want to keep it fun when they're puppies. You don't want to make it too much about the training, but you want to make it more about having it be fun, having them build their desire. And if the dog's not completing retrieves or even retrieving at all, don't worry about it. It's a puppy. The big thing when you're working with young dogs or puppies is to make sure that you're not giving them bad habits. It is too often that I get dogs in here for training, and the dogs will be basically taught by the owners to drop right at their feet because they don't want to deal with the dog's slimy mouth on the bumper, and they have them drop it. Very hard to fix, and something with force fetch, you want them to hold it all the way through. So just make sure the dog is being encouraged to retrieve to hand. If you are having issues, don't overdo it. All you need to do is just let the dog understand their structure, work with them on being on a leash, work with them on the command no. You can work with them on their other commands, but you're going to start to demand response and demand performance from the dogs once we get to 6 months. Why do we pick 6 months? That's because they have their teeth in, their adult teeth in. It's not fair to try to work with the dog on retrieving when they're getting their teeth in, and also they're old enough and more mature so that they can take pressure. So I hope that helps. Again, if you guys want to get your question in, send it to sportingdogtv@gmail.com, and we'll answer your question right here on the Sporting Dog Adventures podcast. Thanks. Have a great day. Take care.
Sporting Dog Adventures, run, boy, run. Everything you need is here under the sun. Everything you need is here